Okay. God, I put things to wipe my hands on. Give me the creamy space.
Please don't. Please don't.
Oh. I guess we're fine. I need to like tell somebody something.
All right, guess you're running
I'm
now.
the runner.
Oh.
Okay, so this is Mega Man 8. Can I give a countdown to the start? Okay, so on the count of go from 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, so I guess first things first, just who's on the couch?
I'm Creamy Doodle.
Yo, I'm Plum. I currently have the best known time with video evidence for every category in this game on every version.
I'm Orsa. I used to. A couple days ago.
I'm Miles.
Okay, so the first thing is, this is Mega Man. This is the start of the Mega Man block. If you're not really familiar with what this series is at all, basically there are 8 stages, and then in each of those stages I'm going to be fighting a Robot Master, getting their weapon, and then going to fight Dr. Wily. But the big thing about Mega Man 8 that really separates this from a lot of the other Mega Man games is I can weapon swap without going into a pause menu with just L and R, and I'm also able to use most of the weapons for platforming. Like you're already seeing, I'm using the FIFA ball to basically get jumps in midair, and I can chain it for as long as I have ammo. And it is also a very high damage dealing weapon, which you're going to see against the first boss real quick. And then I guess, Orsa, are there any other core mechanics you want to explain?
No, not yet. I think you're good.
Yeah, so that's the first boss right there. Mega Ball's pretty good. Yeah, so Mega Man 8's a little different from the NES games, if you're familiar with that. This game starts out with an intro stage, but they do give you the best weapon in the game right off the bat, since it allows you to skip a lot of platforming sections and just optimize movement a little bit more. One other thing you will see me doing a lot is 8 has a very interesting slide. The animation in this game is really good, but kind of a trade-off for that animation. A lot of people think this game feels kind of slow or sluggish, which admittedly it starts out like that because your slide has a very long, not only ending lag, but also startup animation. So if you're not chaining your slides really well, you're losing a lot of time to the animation. But later on in the run, I'm going to buy an item that turns Mega Man 8's slide into the best slide by far in classic Mega Man. So Orsa, if you want to explain a little what I'm doing here, because
Yeah,
a lot
sure.
goes on really quickly.
So this game is a little bit different from what you're used to if you're used to the NES games. Instead of giving you the choice between all 8 robots from the start, it splits it into 4 and 4. We start with Grenade Man for a multitude of reasons. You'll be seeing the first when we get to the mid-boss, but the first bit of this stage is mostly just optimizing your ball jumps, making sure you're getting the charge shots off to break the barrels, and getting back damage boosts off, which if you're not familiar with classic Mega gameplay, Mega Man damage boosts in the direction you're facing whenever you take damage. So by turning around before you take damage, you get to boost a little bit forwards instead of backwards, which basically saves time.
Yeah, and coming up is also one of the first mid-bosses in the game. Mega Man 8's pretty notorious compared to a lot of the other classic Mega Man games, in that bosses can do a lot of things in this game. One of the things you're going to see this boss, well, hopefully you won't see it at all.
Hopefully you won't, yeah.
We don't want to see this boss dive into the ground.
Yeah.
Yes, fortunately though, where you stand on this boss fight can kind of determine what pattern it does, but it's just kind of an influence. It's not direct control. And
Okay,
yeah,
good.
that's basically what you want to see. One other little minor time saver that's purely luck based on that boss is it can do these little circular swoops around the screen like you saw, and the closer it dies to the ground, the better, but it's very uncommon.
So from that mid-boss, we picked up Rush Bike or Rush Cycle, which you'll be seeing right away here. Rush Bike is nice because it moves very quickly, about as fast as the upgraded slide, but it also allows you to maintain your speed in the air. So you can see while Plum's jumping a lot here, he doesn't lose any time from having to jump.
Yes.
His jumping is fairly slow.
This is very unique as far as classic Mega Man games mechanics go, because there aren't generally many things in this series that let you keep full movement speed while in the air. Because normally you just want to be on the ground as much as possible to slide, but it doesn't matter when we get into Rush Bike. But like Orsa said, we will get something in this run to upgrade the slide, and once the slide is upgraded, then Rush Bike becomes less useful since the core ground movement speed is significantly fast.
Yep. Okay. So this is Grenade Man. He's the first of the Robot Masters. All of the Robot Masters in this game have 40 health?
Yes.
40 health. And the way Grenade Man works is we have Buster, which we're going to be using. A Lemon does 1 damage, a half charge does 2, and full charges do 3. So ideally, you start the fight with a full charge, you end the fight with a full charge, and everything in between are just half charges. Makes his health work out really nicely.
Yeah, and one other thing that's kind of a minor time saver in Mega Man games, and this game is no exception, when the boss particles explode, all the boss particles need to leave the screen before Mega Man can really start his weapon get fanfare. So if a boss dies closer to the center of the screen, the weapon get animation can happen just a little bit faster. But yeah, the main reason we start out with Grenade is we being me and Orsa, who
Thanks
also
for clarifying.
is so we get Rush Bike, which we will make heavy use of on
Right.
Clown Man, who is the fourth of the first set of 4 Robot Masters.
And from here, we'll be following weakness order. So he'll be going to Frost, and then Tengu, and then Clown Man.
Yeah, and I guess one other thing that we can also talk about a little bit during the stage specifically is you all donated it for it, but I'm playing on the Sega Saturn version of the game right now, which a lot of people aren't super familiar with. Do you want to go over some of the version differences or so?
Sure. So the Saturn version loads slightly slower because the standard version that we play on is on a PS2, which has the fast disk speed option. So it loses a little bit from loads. But there's also a lot more enemies and some extra bosses that Plum will be fighting throughout the run. So the Saturn version loses somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes to the standard version.
Yeah, it's hard to say specifically because a lot of the enemies placed on the stages, extra ones on Saturn, get in your way when you're trying to do PS1 strats, which one reason I like playing Saturn a little bit more is because there are a lot of rooms in PS1 where enemies are irrelevant and you just slide right through. That's also a pit right there. These sections are pretty infamous. So yeah, if you're watching a casual playthrough, which
This is a casual playthrough now.
These sections are very notorious. Yeah, fortunately though, I think I'm going to get Orsa's help for the later ones because I'm too bad at this game myself. So Yeah, that's not going to happen again, hopefully.
Hopefully
If that's
not.
the only death, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Orsa loves those penguins, though, because when you shoot them
They're
with your
so good.
flash bombs, they go flying backwards.
Yeah. And Plum just figured out recently that if you delay your flash bomb long enough, you can actually get it to hit on the right side of the penguin and send them backwards instead of forwards. So. Also, you saw Plum pick up a bolt there. Bolts work like currency in this game, but there's a fixed number of them, unlike in, say, Mega Man 7 or Mega Man 9 or 10. There's 40 bolts throughout the game, and you can use them in Dr. Light's shop to buy certain items, which you'll be seeing a little later.
Yeah, and I guess this being one of the early PlayStation 1 Saturn Mega Man games, there has not been an X4 run. That was with Zero without an auto-scroller death, so we're getting an auto-scroller death out of the way immediately in 8.
Yeah. Thankfully for the bolts, there's 6 of them that are directly in your path, and we only need 5 of them, so you don't really lose any time getting them.
Yeah, so these auto-scrollers there are 2 types in the game. One's where you're on Rush Jet and one where you're on just the jet boards. And jet boards are a little more fun because you get to mess around with the movement mechanics in this game, which are pretty fun.
Yeah, the jet board Mega Ball jumps are actually really cool because you don't really have to time them. Like, basically, as long as you're falling, you can Mega Ball jump. So we use Rush Bike here because it saves time during jumping, but it also lets you move right through the ice blocks. You don't have to jump over them.
Yeah, so I'm being able to just go very fast even on the ground since I don't have Hyper Slider yet. And then ladders are entirely optional in this game because of Mega Ball. And that right there is one of the very cool movement things in this game. Every time I slide off a ledge, I have an 8-frame window to slide immediately into a Mega Ball jump. So where one of the minor optimizations in other Mega Man games is holding off on doing your slide jumps off of ledges for as long as possible, so Mega Man only has like a couple pixels left on the ledge before he can jump. In this game, all of those are basically an 8-frame window because I'm not slide jumping off the ledge, I'm just straight up sliding off the ledge into a Mega Ball jump. Yeah, and it's a very minor time saver. Orsa and I are currently the only runners that do it at all in this game because it only saves about 20-ish frames every time you do it, depending also on how low you cut your jump, so you can start sliding immediately again. Yeah, and then one other thing about this boss is the dialogue bosses have before you fight them. It also varies if their patterns didn't determine time enough. So is what they decide to tell you. But now we know that Mega Man's gonna get turned into Kakigori.
So Frostman is potentially the saddest boss in the entire game.
Yeah.
The entire strat on Frostman is just let him do his thing and stand inside him, and he will die before you do. So
He tries his hardest,
he
though,
sure
but
does.
it wasn't
God
hard
bless
enough.
him.
Yeah, so honestly, the first set of 4 weapons in this game is probably significantly better than the second set of 4 weapons because Flash Bomb, it deals a very, very powerful lingering hitbox that does a lot of damage to normal enemies who don't have invincibility frames every time they're hit. And Ice Wave, which is also very cool because with quick weapon switching, I'm able to basically just place Ice Wave out and slide behind it, and pretty much anything in Ice Wave's path will die.
Yeah.
So I don't need to worry about enemies in a lot of spots,
Yeah.
just because I can place an Ice Wave and forget about it.
Right. You'll see Ice Wave here, but it's essentially what you think of whenever you hear the term Ice Wave. It's just a wave of ice that moves until it goes off the screen.
All right, so this is what you all donated for, the Saturn theme of Tengu Man.
It's pretty good.
It's the best song in the game. So coming up here, if you played this game casually, you'll know that there's bubble sections in Tengu that you're supposed to be riding a very slow bubble up and dodging spikes, but
They're
no,
also
they're
optional.
optional. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to slide off of every single ledge into the Mega Ball jumps and also get onto higher up ledges as soon as possible, which, considering sliding into a Mega Ball jump is also only that 8-frame window like I mentioned, that means, well, there are a lot of easy ways to die in this game when you're trying to play with more optimal movement. And then one other interesting thing, I guess we should talk about how the auto-scrollers kind of work.
Sure.
So this is the second time. You're not going to see these again until the Wily stages, but this basically Rush, not the Jet version, he kind of spits out some lemons, but we also have Eddie, who gives you items in other games, and Beat, who just kind of destroys bosses in 5, which you will see later in the classic Mega Block. But Beat is really, really good in this game because how normal enemies like this don't get invincibility frames, Beat is a constant damage hitbox that is just always in front of you, and basically anything that comes in contact with Beat is just instantly gonna die.
Yep. So the party ball, the pink party ball that you saw, will give you one of the partners at random, and it'll cycle through them, and you just have to pick. So ideally we get Beat in order to kill the mid-boss at the end of this section very quickly, but it is random, so there is a chance we don't see Beat.
It's a low chance, though, and also
Yeah,
you can spawn more party balls by dropping down to half health.
Right.
So I could do that if I want, but I won't because Saturn, they remove a lot of the... Oh,
There
never
he
mind,
is.
there's Speed. Saturn removes a lot of the extra health pickups laying around on the stages. So on PS1, where I could do that and comfortably get back to full health very quickly, I can't do that on Saturn because of some of the changes made to make the stages harder.
Right. On the PS1 version after this, there's 2 health pickups directly in your path, whereas on Saturn there's only 1.
And one other thing worth noting is kind of why I'm killing enemies as fast as possible. A lot of runners used to play this game on Anniversary Collection, and Anniversary Collection is a very, very bad port of this game. It lags a lot. They distorted a ton of the sound effects in very odd ways. So it is very, very easy to lag the game on Anniversary Collection during the auto-scrollers. The Saturn and PS1 versions never lag if you're playing on the original consoles.
Yep.
Yeah, so here's the mid-boss, and the strat is basically just put Beat inside of it, it dies. And it's dead.
Yep.
And another bubble section is going to come up soon, and this is kind of where Mega Ball jumping isn't exactly as straightforward as it may seem, where you just jump into the air and land on your ball. Depending on how long or short you hold down the jump button, you can basically exchange height gained for horizontal distance gained. So I horizontal ball jump a couple times there to avoid taking a damage boost, which is slightly faster. So more money jumps, which is what we call sliding into a Mega Ball jump.
There's also a difference in those platforms in Saturn version.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's a couple
Saturn
removed.
removes a lot, and since I switch between versions so often, sometimes I forget platforms are missing on Saturn and just slide into pits where platforms are on PS1. And Tengu, I'm gonna focus a bit for this boss
Sure.
fight because the strat is pretty cool if you want to explain what
Sure.
it is.
So Tengu takes double damage from your Buster, but his weakness is also Ice Wave. So since he's in the air a lot of the time, it can be difficult to hit him with Ice Wave. But depending on what his pattern is, you can see when he comes down, it's very easy. But you can also jump into him like Plum is, or do Mega Ball jumps over him in order to land Ice Waves
Yeah,
on him.
unfortunately, he gave me a pretty good pattern, so you weren't actually able to see it. But what Tengu Man can do, instead of attacking or coming onto the ground where you're supposed to use the ground-based weapon Ice Wave, I can Mega Ball jump up and chase him, and I can drop Ice Waves on him in the middle of the air. I won't be doing that on the refights, however, because I'm going to be getting more weapons that will get in the way of my quick weapon switching order, and it makes that strat significantly harder to do in the refights. And then coming up is going to be the biggest time saver for doing grenade first, because Rush Bike is going to get major usage right at the beginning.
Yep. So you saw Tengu Man's weapon very briefly in the fight. It's called Tornado Hold. Essentially what it's used for in this run is to gain vertical distance quickly. You can combine it, if Mega Man jumps into it, he starts to rise up slowly, but you can combine it with Mega Ball jumps in order to vastly increase your upward acceleration.
Yeah, so this section is, since it's just such a long stretch of horizontal ground and you're getting hyper slider movement speed, it's awesome, and there's just so many jumps. Rush Bike is honestly one of the best parts of this game, especially for the first set of 4 robots.
Yeah, it saves a ton of time in the slower sections of the first 4 robots.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are a couple of screen transitions which always remove you from Rush Bike, so even though I had time left on Rush Bike, it was immediately ended. Yeah, and then this is Sissy Roll, who a lot of people for some reason think is weak to Flash Bomb, but no, actually it's just weak to Mega Ball. So instead of kicking them, however, I'll just be trying to drop them inside of his hitbox.
Yep.
As such. Yeah, and one other reason why I was trying to constantly stay in iframes there is because the little toy soldier dudes on the ground, if you get hit by one of them, instead of immediately dealing damage to you, they just kind of grab you and stun lock you, and it's very annoying. But you can't get grabbed if you're in invincibility frames.
So the gimmick behind this section of the stage is every once in a while the bell will ring, and depending on what kind of block you're standing on, we will get a certain effects. Like if you're on a circle block, you're fine. An X block, you'll take damage, or a skull block will drop you through. And then later on, you'll be seeing question mark blocks, which do different things depending on which part of the which block you're standing on.
Yeah, and then also there you saw Tornado Hold's first usage, and I can combine it with Mega Ball jumps to ascend vertically even faster.
Okay, so this room right here is supposed to be a maze of those question mark blocks. You go inside one of the question mark blocks to bring you to another question mark block, but the maze is optional.
Yep. Every pair of question mark blocks is linked, so you just have to know which ones take you up, but you can skip all that.
And then also, the Saturn version actually I lied earlier when I said these games don't lag. The Saturn version lags less than PlayStation because it's a better console. Yeah, so there's a frame-perfect early hit you can get on that, and you use lag when the boss fight starts on PS1 to buffer that hit, so it's actually pretty consistent. You have a decently large window to get it, but on PS1, on Saturn, since this game is better here, it just doesn't lag as much, so you really do have closer to that one frame window to release your Buster Charge.
So Clown Man is one of the first bosses that's really, really annoying in this game as far as the luck goes. He's the first boss that, well, I guess the second boss, that can go completely invincible if he decides to do Thunder Carnivals, which wastes a couple seconds apiece.
Thankfully, we did not see that.
Thankfully, we didn't get any. So
yeah, because one other thing, if you saw me get grabbed by his I guess, kind of hand grabby move on the ground. That's so I could actually place a tornado hold to keep him on the ground, and he would just be standing inside hurting me, but I'm hurting him more than he's hurting me, so. Because when he's just swinging around on his vine, it's faster to deal damage with your Buster, because some of the bosses, if they're using their signature move, they will go into this really long stun animation, and the iframes for that are very long. Also, this is Cut Man. Do you want to explain Cut Man, Orson?
Sure. So Cut Man's optional. In the PS1 version, there's just a bolt here, but the Saturn version has an exclusive fight with Cut Man. Cut Man is actually deals a lot of damage if you get hit by him, but he fortunately also takes a lot of damage from pretty much everything, so he goes down pretty fast.
Yeah, he's weak to a lot of things because kind of his gimmick is, like Orsa said, even though he deals like the most damage of any enemy in the whole game, he takes a ton of damage from pretty much every weapon.
So the real boss of this stage is Duo, who you saw at the beginning flying as a meteor. And Duo is another boss that can just decide to bounce around the room being invincible pretty much as he likes. So hopefully he'll be nice.
This is one of the major, I guess, reset points in the run.
Yeah. So the strat for this guy is Duo takes 1 damage from everything that's not a full Buster Charge. So you want to keep a Flash Bomb on him at all times, and then as soon as the Flash Bomb wears out, hit him with a Buster and put him back in iframes with Flash Bomb.
So if you're familiar with the X games, this is kind of this game's equivalent of the CPO from
CFO.
CFO. I don't run X2 or 3. Oh, also cool. I got Buster Glitch.
Nice.
That's why this is a Saturn exclusive thing, I believe. I've
never
don't
seen it
remember.
on PS1.
Okay, yeah, this is Saturn exclusive. If you're holding a charge when you kill Duo, the charge sound effect just stays because it's lovely.
Okay, so defeating Duo does two things. It opens up the second set of robos, and it also adds more items to Dr. Light's shop. So now we're going to be going back to Dr. Light's shop to pick up Hyper Slider, which will very much increase the speed at which you slide.
Yeah, it increases the... In practice, I've messed up that menu a couple times and just bought the wrong items. But yeah, not only does this make your slide faster, but I guess it should be explained how it makes it faster. The startup animation is shorter, the ending lag is reduced, and you travel a greater number of pixels per second, and your slide also goes further. So it does a lot of things, and it makes slide really, really good in this game.
So if I remember correctly, the last time this was in a marathon, the route everyone used was Sword Man.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about Astro Fifth?
Sure.
Can you mention that?
Yeah, so since the robots are subdivided into 2 sets of 4, you don't actually have a weakness whenever you're starting this. So there were 2 routes, Sword First and Astro First. We do Astro First now because it's slightly faster, but it's also slightly harder to optimize the Astro Man fight. So whenever we get there, we'll explain, but essentially we'll be using flash bombs to beat Astro Man.
Yeah, and there are a couple of strats where I'm like not as practiced in this now since I've been grinding PS1 runs. But right there, you saw me have to flash bomb a frog. That's movement I'm not normally familiar with doing because on PS1 that frog is not there, and you just slide into a Mega Ball jump over that pit. But just one of the little well, not really optimizations, major time saves that you need to do because it's a couple seconds is flash bomb the frog before you can slide into the Mega Ball. But I accidentally did an extra swap to the left, which put me back on Buster instead of Mega Ball.
So you saw the Astro puzzle rooms. Obviously, Plum knows exactly where he's going in those, so he's not going to get lost. But there is actually a skip you can do in the first puzzle room that saves how much time if you get a first try?
It's like realistically about 8 seconds if you get it first try.
But it is frame perfect, so and it kills you if you don't get it. So
and if you die, it wastes about 20-30 seconds.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and then this is basically the end of this short little auto-scroller. Fortunately, the other sets of 4 robos will not have anything like this.
If you died to the maze skip, would you spawn at the beginning of the stage?
Yes.
yeah.
If you game over during it, that is.
Right. If you just die, you spawn at the beginning of the maze. But
Yeah, so you're going to see just like a lot of extra money jumps here to kind of optimize movement. And you're going to see another, this is kind of the last time you could really efficiently do it in RTA because the weapon swaps just consistently get harder and harder for this the more weapons you have, but using Tornado Hold to ascend even faster.
no, you see it one more time in Wily 2.
Yeah, but that's it.
Okay.
And Wily 2 isn't for a while.
Yeah. So for the Astro Man fight, I guess we can start talking about that.
Okay.
There's a couple different patterns Astro Man can give. He floats up above you, so you have to Mega Ball jump up to him most of the time if you want to flash bomb him. But he can also swoop at you. He can start rotating his, I guess, satellites in a circle, which makes it really easy to hit him because he's low. Or he can decide to use Astro Crush, which makes him teleport around and wastes a fair bit of time because he's not staying in your flash bomb. So we'll see what kind of luck we get here.
This is very weird. Okay,
this is bad luck. Yeah.
When we race this game, we pretty much like to call every single boss in this game the equalizer. 'Cause they pretty much determine the races a lot more than your movement can in a lot of situations. So there's one time I was racing Orsa. Orsa was ahead of me by like 10 seconds. He kept getting crushes. I got no crushes. And I ended up being ahead after Astro, going into the fight 20 seconds behind him.
You saw the good pattern there right at the end. He comes down a little bit and then starts rotating around.
Yeah, this game doesn't exactly have 2 sets of weaknesses like Mega Man 7 does for some of the bosses. What they decided to do in this game is give bosses half weaknesses. So Flash Bomb does 2 damage to Astro Man. And Ice Wave will do 2 damage to Sword Man. So those are kind of the intended first 2 bosses you should start the second set with.
Yep. But now we'll be back to weakness order. So.
Yep. And you're going to see a pretty cool, unique gimmick in this stage. Just like in everyone's favorite game, Mega Man 3 DOS, swimming is back. And,
my favorite Mega Man game.
It makes movement very fun in this stage.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite stages to play.
So you'll see a fair bit of swimming here, but it is still faster to be sliding as much as possible. So ideally, you're still staying on the ground. There's some very cool weapon usage here, like we use flash bombs and mega balls to hit all the bubbles from the clams.
Yeah, and then there was a strat on PS1 recently, found that cut out a very risky strat in that room. We used to take a back damage boost and iframe slide across the spikes, but Orsa found out that one of the clams, if you go as fast as possible, will spit bubbles at you that always hit you. You can intercept that bubble with a Mega Ball, and it's very cool, and it makes the movement through that room look extremely slick.
So this mid-boss is a pain. He takes 2 damage from just about everything, so it doesn't really matter what you use on him, but he can just dive into the waterfall pretty much as he feels like. The ending of this section is also on a global timer, so as in it transitions every 5 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like Slash Beast in Mega Man X4 with the first half of the stage,
so
if you're familiar with that game.
You can actually get even more bad luck from just dives. If you end up on a bad cycle, you can lose another 3 or 4 seconds on that boss.
Movement is hard, but yeah, Ice Wave can also hit an odd number of times on enemies with weird hitboxes, so it's able to instantly kill Joes if they're falling like that, but if a Joe is not falling like that, it deals very minor damage to them.
Yeah.
So normally I'll be using Flash Bombs or Thunderclaw to kill Joes.
Yeah. Shoutouts to Thunderclaw.
Yeah, Orsa really likes that weapon.
The coolest part about Thunderclaw is that if it's coming back to you, so if it goes forward all the way and then comes back through an enemy, it doesn't trigger iframes. So you can use that to get through a lot of enemies very quickly.
Yeah, and if you saw me pick up health in that stage, that health is entirely optional. However, it is random if you die to Aqua Man doing the good strats or not if you don't pick up the health, because sometimes on your first Astro Crush, Aqua Man will just randomly bounce into Mega Man and deal damage to you. And if you don't pick up that health doing all of the optimal strats for that room, that bounce will kill you.
Yep. Other than that, Aqua Man's entirely consistent. If you just alternate between crushes and full charge busters, it's exactly enough damage to kill him.
Yeah, and I guess it should also be mentioned that to, I guess, make the second set of Robot Masters more difficult, in a sense, where I used half charges to deal 2 damage against Grenade Man at the start of the run. You can't do that to Robot Masters in the second half of the game because they only take 1 damage from your half charges. They still take 3 damage from a fully charged Buster Shot, though. Yeah, so Swordman is also a very cool stage in this game because since they divided the Robot Masters up into 2 separate sections, and the weapons are also useful for, I guess, platforming and puzzle solving, that means you actually get to see completely required weapon usage in the robot stages instead of until the Wily stages, where some Mega Man games like to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, so this first area here there's like 4 trials where each of these rooms is designed to use each of the 4 weapons that we got from the previous Robot Masters.
So like, for example, in this room, this is the Thunderclaw room, so you'll be seeing Plum both use Thunderclaw to activate switches instantly and to swing on these pegs here.
Yeah, and then in the Flash Bomb room coming up, I guess I can let you guys explain it as they
Yeah,
come.
sure. So the gist of this one is that it's dark, but a flash bomb will light it up, and in the background you can see a panel that has a specific color on it, either red, yellow, or green. And you have to remember the order, and then at the end you hopefully hit them in the right order. and open the door.
Yeah, I missed my money jump, which was supposed to put me in between the green and yellow switches, but I just missed the 8-frame window, so I just slid right onto the green switch.
In the tornado hold room, you just kind of have to put the switches together using tornado hold to make them go up.
Those bats are very annoying on the Saturn version because if you don't do your movement very quickly to get the final buster shots on the last peg, they completely intercept you and it's very difficult to get around quickly.
Yep. And then the last one, there's these lava pillars that get frozen by Ice Wave as long as you...
I guess it should also be mentioned that these are instant death if you get hit by them.
Yeah.
And then do you want to explain how Girna's iframes work?
Yeah. So Girna's kind of an annoying mid-boss, as with pretty much every mid-boss in this game. So he's only vulnerable whenever he opens up. So ideally, you can one-cycle him there if you get a good pattern and you do enough damage. The only thing you want to watch out for on this fight is, have you talked about the 3-frame window at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so flash bombs, if you put them exactly 3 frames apart, then they will...
Not exactly 3 frames, but at an interval of 3 frames.
Oh, right, an interval of 3 frames apart. Then they'll be dealing damage on the same frame, so you won't be getting the double damage from flash bomb. But other than that, you can actually one-cycle Girna if you get a good pattern and are mashing well enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to the bats in that first room.
Yeah, on Saturn, they just intercept you if you don't do your Mega Ball jumps quite well enough.
So what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to ride those boats, and then a lava pillar will rise to rise the boat, but it's optional.
Yep.
Just like enemies intercepting your Mega Balls is optional. That's like one of the actual difficult things that gets added in a lot of pits on Saturn. Is it doesn't happen too often on PS1. But there are a lot of enemies pretty much near pits that can get right in your way, and they'll consume, I guess, the jump you would want to get on your Mega Ball. Right. Also, would you care to explain this?
Sure.
Dummy?
This guy's great.
He's
so
the
Sword
guy.
Man has a couple different patterns he can do. This is the best one right here. So whenever he spins, he's completely invincible until his halves reunite, I guess. But what we can do is, if he's against a wall like this, and you place Mega Man between Sword Man and the wall, he will not spin. So ideally, you get him against a wall and then just damage boost behind him, and hopefully he goes down.
Yeah, the only time it's really just a 50-50 basically if he spins or not is right at the beginning of the fight since he isn't already at the wall.
Yep.
And I guess, did you mention about your health?
What about it?
You don't have enough health to basically do that for the entire time,
Right.
though. So even if he does immediately go to a wall, you can't damage boost him through him on the whole fight. You're
Right.
going to need to leave the wall eventually.
Contact damage with sword does a lot of damage, so
I believe it's 1 or it might be equal to Cut Man. It's very high.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then coming up is the other alternate boss in this run, how I fought Cut Man earlier. I'm going to be fighting Woodman on this stage.
Unlike Cutman, though, Woodman is not optional in the Saturn version.
Yeah, but I pretty much always have good woods. And
So-
this is one, you can explain it.
Okay, so at the beginning here, this is the last time in the game you'll be seeing Rush Bike. It's faster here because there's a lot of jumping through the air. Rush Bike is equal to Hyper Slider, technically, in terms of pure movement, but because you maintain your speed in the air, like, say, right here, this is what tips the scales in Rush Bike's favor.
Yeah, so even with that pause you need to do to equip it, the time saved through airspeed is just, it's no contest.
So here's Woodman. His weakness is Flame Sword, perhaps a little unsurprisingly.
Yeah, Flame Sword just makes very short work of him, so this route also works out quite nicely for dealing with the extra mid-boss too. Yeah, that's Woodman. Unfortunately, you cannot shield a sword, so
It's not with leaves, I guess.
I don't know. Your shield is pretty okay.
Against a fire sword, though?
Yeah.
All right, and you're gonna see a lot of cool movement in this
Yeah,
section.
the second half of this stage is probably one of, if not the most technical stage in the entire game.
Also, these birds are Okay,
Yeah.
so if I had actually just been a little bit faster there, that bird could have eaten my Mega Ball from when I was trying to money jump, and
Yeah.
that's a slide into a pit.
You can slide ball jump over those pits. It saves like 20 frames a piece, but if the birds eat your Mega Ball, then you lose a lot more than
He's
that.
definitely died to that in practice.
Unfortunately. This is, as far as classic Mega Man goes, this game has the most complex movement with the weapons useful for platforming.
It's mostly because of the quick weapon switching.
Yeah,
Like,
and the
it
weapons
lets-
actually being useful
right.
for platforming.
It lets you do a lot of cool strats that you wouldn't be able to do in, say, 1 through 6.
Because even though 7 and Rockman and Forte both contain quick weapon switching, none of the weapons are as useful for just optimizing movement as 8s are.
Yeah. So Searchman, there's a little bit of luck here. Whenever he goes in the bushes, he appears in one randomly. You can hit 2 at the same time, but if he's in the 3rd, then that's a little bit of time lost.
Yeah, so coming up now is the Wily stages, which unfortunately the Jetboard and Frost kind of owned me. So Orsa here, we're gonna help out.
All right,
but,
sure. I'll give you some help.
Yeah, he's got the D-pad, and I'm gonna have the jump.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, the second set of weapons in the game isn't quite as useful because they're all very good for different reasons, but they are just weapons as opposed to being elements to make platforming faster.
Right. So Wily 1 and Wily 2 recycle the same sort of auto-scrollers, except they make them a little bit more difficult. So hopefully this one goes okay. We practiced it a couple times. Yeah?
A few is a better word.
Okay.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this is... Oh, also you can charge up Homing Sniper.
Yeah, Homing Sniper is the only weapon in the game that's chargeable outside of your Buster.
Do you want to talk about what we're doing, Miles, Crimmy? We're jumping,
They're
we're
auto
sliding.
scrolling. Yeah, they're jumping and sliding.
Yeah, fortunately though, I got Orsus with my back so he won't steer me into a pit, I hope.
Yeah.
If he's feeling nice. Yeah, so this section is infamous for kind of gating off. Oh!
Okay, that's new.
Yeah, so we're not very coordinated right now. We're just jumping.
I mean, that's what the signs are telling you to do.
I mean, it's not wrong. All right, so
Alright.
there we go. Thank you, Orsa.
Yeah,
I didn't
no
die that
problem.
time.
Yeah, good
it
job.
was all your... Man.
Glad to be of service. Okay, so coming up, the Wily 1 boss is named Adatomino, and he's actually fairly infamous. I've seen a lot of people really did not know how to deal with this guy, including myself when you played this game casually. So the way this works is there's 4 columns, and he will randomly spawn in one of them, and the fastest way to hit him is to kick a ball up and hit him. Hopefully Plum will be getting a very early hit here. Nice.
Yeah, can you explain the movement for how that works?
You mean just you walk forward and kick the ball?
Oscillating movement speed.
Oh, right. So you can you get different speeds depending on where in your slide you are. So depending on what speed you hit the door at, the game will put you into the boss room at slightly different places, and it's essentially random as far as we know. So that early hit can be very luck dependent.
Yeah, because the further left you are, the further right you need to walk, which means you take more time before you can actually get the kick off.
This fight is also governed by how fast you're actually clearing the screen. So the faster you clear all 4 columns, the faster the next one will spawn.
Yeah, it might look like a bit of an auto-scroller boss waiting for the cycles, but it is dependent on how quickly you destroy each part. Also, a subtle thing about that fight is that you can actually adjust the angle of your Mega Balls by holding up or down when kicking it. So that is important for aiming the balls correctly into the columns.
Yeah, one reason a lot of people struggle with that fight casually is because the game, outside of the manual, never explicitly states you can angle your kicks up.
Yeah. And the standard angle was fairly awkward to fight Adatomino with, so.
Yeah, I believe the up angle is just 45 degrees.
Yeah. So the first half of the stage is very technical with a lot of tornado hold ball jumps and weapon swaps.
Yeah, there's just a lot of enemies in your way while you're going through those first
Yeah,
couple
and
rooms.
that is significantly harder to do on Saturn because how I mentioned some of the enemies casually, you might not notice them being that much more difficult, but when speedrunning, they're literally placed in the worst possible position for you to go fast
All right,
with.
so here's another jet auto-scroller. Hopefully you don't die. Wink,
Yeah.
wink.
Oh no, dude.
Hopefully
I'm
you
already
don't
at
die.
half health. This is looking bad.
Yeah, you might die here.
It's a
That'd be
really
bad.
good thing I grabbed that one up because I don't know. I'm not feeling very confident.
Actually, I totally was not thinking about this auto-scroller when you grabbed that one up.
Oh yeah, if you didn't notice, I grabbed a
Yeah,
one up.
just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah, so not too much to say about this.
Yeah.
Fortunately, this is the last auto-scroller in the entire game, and it's also one of the shorter ones.
Yeah,
so,
it's not that bad.
where Tengu is kind of chunky, this is we're chilling. We're getting through this pretty quickly. I need to stop taking damage.
Yeah, you're
though.
taking a lot of damage
This
here.
is
You
getting
might
scary.
want to calm down.
And oh wait, I forgot. If any of you are familiar with the speedrunner Surreal, I didn't ask him on Twitter, but I believe water balloon is his favorite weapon in the game. So thank you, Surreal. Oh, dude, the double one up. Why didn't I pick him up? Dude, they could have saved this run from a game
Yeah.
over. Hello.
Shoutouts to Mega Man 5.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh.
Watch out.
Hello?
Oh, no.
Oh no. Dang, dude. That's rough.
So this is actually really new. Tonic
Tonic?
just found this a couple months ago. If you end up dying, like right when that dragon spawns, or a little bit after, the game actually just will death warp you to blanking. It saves about 11 or 12 seconds over just doing the
since it
auto-scroller
took
normally.
me another hit, and iframes last about a second, so
Yeah.
that was more like a 10-second time save.
Shoutouts
So-
to your best bud, Viking.
Blaking's an idiot.
To put it lightly.
Yeah, he can. The fastest you can get here is a 2-cycle if he decides to open everything, but he can either open everything, which is what he's doing now,
No, dude, this happens every time. This is consistent.
or he can open the vertical sections only or the horizontal ones only, but all of his life is in the vertical ones. So if he opens the horizontal ones, that's just wasting your time.
Yeah, so I recently had a run of this game which ended being a 51-37, and I had 6 cycles of that, which wasted 32 seconds over just getting what I got in this
Yep.
run, which means the current record could have been 51:05, but now it's a 51:10 because Bliking got a bit of a say in that.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's a very nice guy. And then this stage is also kind of infamous, especially if you ever try speedrunning this game. This stage gets new runners very often.
You can't really do baby strats on this stage and go fast. You have to either learn good strats or take it very, very casually.
Like this.
Yeah, like this.
I was hoping to get some ammo off of that.
Yeah. Do you have
Oh
enough?
well.
Do you have enough balls?
I'm gonna get 1 hit there, and then I'll
Okay.
save 2 for after base.
All right. So here's the mid boss, Forte.
Oh, sorry.
Forte.
Forte.
So Forte is sort of the same as Duo. Everything does 1 damage to him except for Crush and Full Charge Buster. Right?
Well, no. Crush is weird because it just hits him out of iframes immediately, so
Okay.
people consider it 3 damage since it hits him 3 times.
Right. Okay. But the strat is exactly the same as Duo. We'll be hoping to keep a flash bomb on him at all times and then hitting him with a full Buster charge as soon as his iframes run out from that. Or he'll do this, which can waste time.
Yeah, so one nice thing is in this game, if you're playing the category 40 bullets, which is basically 100% in this game, you get to buy an item called High Speed Charge. This is also one of the worst possible spots for base to die.
So,
This is
so
wasting
he
a
has
lot
to
of
move
time.
all the way to the other side of the room very slowly.
I'm glad everyone's clapping for base.
Excuse me, Forte.
Oh, sorry.
Please. But yeah.
And this is why I specifically saved 2 Mega Balls, is so I can get onto this ladder.
So the actual boss of this stage is a Mega Man staple. It's a devil boss, except this time it's green instead of yellow. This boss can also waste a fair bit of your...
I wanted to Thunderclaw.
Yeah, you tried. I'll give you points for trying. So this boss can also waste a fair bit of your time. So ideally, you 2-cycle this boss. You can, as soon as you open him up with Flash Bomb, you can hit him 4 times with Thunderclaw, which does half of his health. And then he'll go into the ground and either reform immediately, or he'll do one of several attacks, which all waste time. So we'll see what kind of luck we can get here.
Yeah, and so we got the RNG minute jiggles going on. And it
Nice.
worked,
Okay.
hey! I just saved like 14 seconds over average luck.
All skill.
Yeah, so he
This
can...
is a very skill-based game, by the way.
Instead of just coming back up, he can form waves and move across the room. He can do 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 waves. And then if you're not on the first phase, he can also do a very standard devil pattern, i.e. yellow devil from MM1 or MM3.
Oh, and then one reason why this is actually the best version of the game to speedrun is because you can just hit B and mash it to cancel these save screens. In PS1, you have to hit down and confirm. It's a really bad input.
Okay.
Yeah. Orsa just likes hitting full pizza. Doesn't want to hit no pizza.
So Wily 4 is refights, and then we'll have Wily immediately after.
And I'm going to start off with Swordman because, how we mentioned earlier, I want to damage boost a lot to try and prevent spins where he goes invincible. I want to be in full health right at the start, just to maximize my
You
amount
do
of
get a
damage boosts.
a large health refill, between each Robot Master. So ideally, we want to start with Sword and then refill our health and have full going into Wily.
Thanks, Swordman.
Yeah, and unlike say NES Mega Man games, the full or the large health drops are not optional. You have to get the large health drops to exit the room, so it's not like you lose time to.
But also, unlike NES Mega Man games, this game does not pause the game to refill your health. It just does it immediately, so you don't actually lose any time picking up health refills.
Yeah, and there actually is an optimal TAS-only order to do these refights in. But however, the reason why I say it's TAS-only is because you need to have like StarCraft 2 APM to be able to do your weapon swaps fast enough to have them before the boss fight actually starts.
Also, he had mentioned last time he fought Aqua Man that there was a random chance that Aqua Man could bounce into him at the beginning of the fight, as he just did there. Thankfully, he had the HP to tank the hit, so didn't die.
And one other interesting thing is in the refights, you actually spawn closer to the Robot Master since you teleport into the rooms instead of walk. So at the start of the Search Man fight, I'm able to just mash Flame Sword and guarantee I get a hit.
Yep. So all of the Robot Masters are the same except for 2 of them. And you'll be seeing the first one that will change immediately after this with Astro Man. Since we do have his weakness now, we might as well use it, right?
Yeah. So Astro Man is, even though a lot of people probably are aware of how this fight goes with Homing Sniper because it's pretty infamous, don't worry, he can waste a lot of time because he never needs to actually come down to let you use Homing Sniper on him.
You can stun him out of Astro Crush if he does it just by locking onto him, but that doesn't make him come down. But he did, so.
Yeah, reminder that this is a skill-based video game. Because how you saw the Astro Crush animation, your Homing Sniper also wants to lock onto the orbs, so it just kind of locks onto the orbs and you never really damage him.
Yeah. A little bit easier than the first time around.
And then there actually is a very interesting also TAS-only trick you can do on the Grenade Man refight.
Yeah.
When you have Thunderclap. Do you want to explain it,
Sure.
Orsa?
So, Grenade Man can fire flash bombs at you like that, and you can use Thunderclaw like that, like Plum just did, to hit it back at him. If you hit Grenade Man with one of his flash bombs and with Thunderclaw on exactly the same frame, then you actually can double hit him. But as of right now, we don't have any setup in RTA
Both
to
the
do so.
Thunderclaw and the reflected flash bomb do 4 damage.
Yes, correct. But yeah, you're basically getting 8 damage on a single set of iframes if you get it. But there's no real setup to do it in RTA, and you need him to give you very specific patterns to be able to do it at all.
Nice.
Cool, I got it. It's a little bit easier here. Oh, here's Thunderclaw.
Yeah, or Thunder Carnival. Yeah. So one thing about Clown Man is he is weak to Tornado Hold, but he's only weak to the actual tornado part of it. The fan part only does
one damage.
One damage to him. Yeah. So you either need to hit him while he's in the air like that, or you need to put him in iframes first and then put down the tornado. Otherwise, you're losing damage.
Yeah, so being able to charge your Buster with, on my Saturn controller, the Y button. On PlayStation 1, I use Pizza Slice.
Triangle.
But yeah, you need to claw grip to play this game well.
Yeah. So let's see if we can get a cool pattern with Tengu Man.
This is pretty cool so far. I'm liking it.
Yeah. Thankfully, he does take extra damage from your Buster, so even if he is going off the stage.
Buster does double damage to him. So as well, casually, a lot of people really like to start off with Tengu just because he's the easiest boss in the game to Buster because of the 2 damage thing. As well as a lot of people casually struggle to realize that the ground-based weapon you should use when he's on the ground.
Okay. So we'll have Frostman, and then we'll have Wily immediately after. I mean, I guess there's a cutscene, but... so this game has 1 Wily machine and 1 capsule. So I guess we'll talk more about that during the cutscene.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I actually need to dodge his attacks. I don't know what's up with this.
Well, you don't need to.
It's optional.
Yeah.
I'm not giving him the pity take me to half health fight, though.
Well, you could, because then you just refill your health.
Okay, so now that we have all the 8 bosses defeated, this elevator is active to go up. If you would like to save Mega Man 8 speedrunners a lot of pain, please figure out how to get up to that room without activating the elevator.
Because the refights are like 6 minutes
You
long.
could save us about 5 or 6 minutes if you find a skip there, so please do that. Thanks.
Reminder that there's anyone watching at home, if you want to make $200 easy peasy, Orsa and one other runner for the game, Tonic, they have a $200 bounty on finding a way to skip any one of the 4 puzzle rooms in Swordman stage. And this bounty has been up for 3 or 4 months, and currently not a single person has even looked into it because people like Mega Man 8.
Yep.
I like Mega Man 8.
So Wily Machine here, his weakness is either a water balloon or flame sword. Plum will be using flame sword. But he'll also be expending his Astro Crush ammo just because it gives you invincibility frames.
Out of iframes.
Yeah, and also it lets you dodge Machine's attacks and go into capsule with full health. Which isn't really a big deal, but you have the Astro Crush, so might as well use it.
Yeah, and the capsule fight in this game is kind of just an endurance thing because the highest damage you can deal to him is 2 with a fully charged Buster Shot or Flash Bomb, and he has 40 HP, so... And you can only hit him once per cycle. This isn't like Mega Man 7 where you can sneak in extra hits on a cycle.
So he takes 20 Flash Bombs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thankfully, because of the mobility offered by Mega Ball, spawning high isn't necessarily a problem. You can still get up there in time to hit him, and ideally the flash bomb is inside his hitbox as he spawns so that you hit him immediately as he spawns.
And he only has 4 attacks he can do, and most of them are very easy to dodge, so...
All of them are very easy to dodge. It's just sometimes you fall asleep while you're playing the video game, and then you get hit.
Yeah.
Like that.
Nice.
This couch is too cozy.
Yeah,
yeah,
it really
this is a really comfy couch. Look how packed in we are. Astro Crush. Oh, I don't have Astro Crush. That's the casual strat for dodging that attack.
So time is coming up. Time is on as soon as Wily Capsule's health hits 0. That's time.
And then this isn't truly an endurance thing because you have a rush item which you get once per life that drops a heck ton of ammo. And
but that requires the pause menu.
Yeah, you have to pause.
So in a speedrun, you never want to do it. But at least casually, you basically get 1, potentially 2 full refills. Also, this is the final hit. And time.
56-20.
Cool.
Nice. Good run.
And actually, Orsa mentioned this before the run, but my estimate was a 57 for this, correct? You changed it from the PS1 estimate? PS1 estimate was a 55? Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
All right. So even with that, I'm glad I showed off that death in the auto scroller and Frost. But yeah.
Showed off.
Yeah, that's what it looks like if you're bad at this. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching Mega Man 8. It's my favorite Mega Man game. You should speedrun this game. It's good.
More people need to run this game.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, thanks for watching.
One more time. Soothing Plumtea, everyone.
Force the numbers.
A lot of donations for the Mega Man games coming in here. Summer Games done quick. Ridkin donated $25 to Doctors Without Borders and says, I had to donate during Mega Man 8. This game holds a lot of sentimental value for me, as it was one of the only games I got to play with my father, and he let me beat Tengu Man in his level every time. I'd just like to say thanks to all the runners and everyone that makes GDQ happen. Such an awesome event with an even more awesome cause. Put my bid toward Runner's Choice. Reminder, we have an open bid incentive right now for a run Mega Man 9 that will be immediately following up a Mega Man 5 if we raise enough money. However, we are short last I checked, so feel free to get your donations in right now. Additionally, your donations currently make you eligible for several prizes. We've got a lot of Mega Man related ones active right now. There's Mega Man 2 magnets, Mega Man 8 coaster set, a Mega Man anniversary game for the GameCube,